Things about farm life that I really love and that I look forward to every day are my interactions with the animals. I'd say that's my favorite part of the day. In the morning, they're all excited to see me because I'm feeding them breakfast. And in the evening, they're all excited to see me because I'm feeding them dinner. But either way, they're excited to see me twice a day. And the hens and the two cats show me so much genuine love and affection. I love it. If you want my opinion on the meaning of life, why we're all here, I think it's to try to engineer as many of these moments as possible. That's my sweet baby boy. That's my sweet baby boy. You know it's built right when you can drag it behind a truck and it doesn't fall apart. Okay, stop. Oh, we picked up a hitchhiker. Let's go as far back as you can.
Okay. We might have to do some maneuvering around the tractor again.
Okay. I was having a lot of high pressure spikes in my water pressure, which was causing a leak in my PEX compression fitting. The only compression fittings I have are over here above the washer dryer. And I was like, why are the washer and dryer always wet? Well, I started paying attention to my pressure gauge and saw that my internal system pressure was routinely exceeding 100 PSI. It's way too high. And I think that the culprit is this 30-year-old water heater that I fixed up because there is no thermal expansion tank. So my system was the thermal expansion tank. So I've ordered a thermal expansion tank to install, but it won't arrive till the end of the month. In the meantime, an easy fix, I just went and bought a 75 PSI pressure release valve, this guy on the end. So anytime the pressure spikes above 75, and 75 is well within the range of those compression fittings, the water will spray out the bottom right there. Now I've got it in a pot because I want to see how much water comes out in a given amount of time. I want to know what the rate of loss is here until my pressure tank arrives. And also, in the meantime, just for any spikes that I may experience in the future, I do have on order a little adapter that is a 1/2 inch MNPT to push fit, and I'm going to go ahead and run the spillage from this valve through. I'm going to mount that way back on the wall. It won't always be dangling in the sink. And then I'm going to run a little spillage hose out this floor drain next to the hot water heater. So it'll all be just passively integrated into the system. That is to say, if you're building your own plumbing system, don't forget a thermal expansion tank if you have a tanked water heater. And you know, pressure release valve is probably a good idea for any tank. It's to avoid flooding issues. At least have the overflow go where you want it to go. Got a crew rebuilding the chimney and replacing the flue pipe. They're also working inside the house. Put new connections on the wood stove. This old brick chimney had started to delaminate. I've also got HVAC guys here replacing all the duct. That HVAC system has been a multi-month battle, and I'm so happy to finally have a company here who's just knocking it out. If I get their permission, I'll probably recommend them. Only if I get permission. I'm using all the pieces of the old chimney that got demoed out to build this, or fill in, the pedestal, Emmett's new pedestal that I was making. I just want as much weight and mass packed out in the general form of a little round table, and then I'm gonna come back with mortar and fill in all the gaps in between and just solidify this thing into a big, heavy pedestal thing. Yes. All right, I've got a thermal expansion tank installed on the system now. And instead of trying to match my system is currently at 40 PSI, and instead of trying to match that, I put the expansion tank at 45, and I'll tell you why. Because my system still, even with my pressure release valve here, which opens up at 75 PSI to prevent leaking, there's a lot of ground in between 40 and 75. And my system tends to fluctuate about 10 PSI. So I made the tank 5 PSI higher than its typical resting pressure so that the tank will only engage if it needs to. If I set it at 40 and the pressure goes up, it's gonna max out the tank, and the tank becomes useless at that point for absorbing the spikes. That's really all it's there for. This guy, this pressure release valve, is the one that saves the day. And I'm soon, like I said, probably said it 5 seconds ago in the video, but I'm going to run a line from here out that drain there, and then take all of this and pin it up against the wall. Looks a bit like a red and blue octopus right now, but let me tell you, a lot of time went into that. This is the back wall of the auto shop. And this was where I've always known I was going to eventually put a window, but I wanted to find a big, thick piece of double-walled tempered glass. And this weekend in Tulsa, I found it. It went in a big front door, turned vertically, but horizontally, it's gonna fit perfect right there. It's gonna look so good. Lily. After some experimentation, I was seeing a link between some of my water pressure spikes and the pump, the onboard pump in my washing machine kicking on. Now, I knew I had a leaky valve in one of the inlet hoses of my washing machine. If you want to test for that, just put dry paper towels around the inside of your washing machine when it's dry. Go to bed, wake up in the morning. If they're wet, you have a leak. So what I'm guessing was happening is that the onboard pump was kicking on and backfeeding pressure into my system. So I put these check valves on. These check valves should make it impossible for the pressure to feed back into the system. But because the valve, the internal valve in the washing machine is still leaking, I am still using these valves. But these valves have been open during the operation of the washing machine, which was allowing the washing machine to backfeed pressure. There you go. And here we've got my handsome orange tank feet on the thermal expansion tank. And I also ported a drip line This goes up to that 75 PSI relief valve, and it now drains right out. And what I did here was this is a 2-inch pipe, I took a 2-inch rubber tub stopper, drilled a 1/2-inch hole in it, and glued my PEX drain line with silicone glue through that stopper, and then I used some strips of duct tape to hold the stopper into the pipe. What I'm trying to do there is create a seal that is removable in the future if I want to pop that off and say drain the hot water tank into that drain, but at the same time will probably resist the forces of water that might come up through that pipe if, say, the septic tank backs up. I wouldn't want that bubbling up from that pipe all over the basement floor. Cool.